Hi everybody and welcome to another edition of the Cook's Companion Recipe of the Week. I'm Nadine Hughes, and last week, if you have watched the Recipe of the Week last week, and if you haven't stopped, go back, go watch it. Okay, it's called A Few of My Favorite Things, and it was all about the tools and the tips in the kitchen that help make my cooking go a little bit faster. Had an overwhelming response from viewers and from readers of that segment to say, can you show us a recipe using some of those tools? Okay, so I don't know whether you didn't believe me or you just sort of want to see some recipes with those tools. So I'm going to show you one of my favorite sort of entertaining appetizer recipes, and it's a smoked salmon tartare with a lemon, olive oil, caper, sort of mustard dressing. Okay, what I really like about this particular appetizer is you can make it up ahead of time. You can make them 24 hours in advance. You can plate them, you can stack them in your fridge and have them ready to go. And they use some of the tools that I've talked about last week in my tools of the trade. So let's get started. Okay, I'm going to show you what we're going to use first of all. I'm going to use those little stacking rings that I told you about last week to make a really nice, pretty presentation. I'm going to use my dollar store squeeze bottles for the dressing. My good old chef's knife that I was telling you about that you didn't need a lot of knives. My mandolin. And I'm also going to use my microplane or my grater. Okay, so real simple, easy recipe. So what you want to use is some smoked salmon, and I would say about 3 slices per person. This is an appetizer. You could use this as a light lunch. Would be beautiful with a side salad and some crusty bread as well. A glass of wine because everything goes better. But I would say about 3 slices per person. I've already chopped some up, and we're going to make it look like a tartare, okay? And, you know, so that sort of play on the steak tartare, although, of course, we're using smoked salmon. So what you want to do is just take your smoked salmon, and you want to dice it up into little tiny pieces, okay? You could use it layering, and I'll show you how to do that as well, or tell you how to do that as well. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that you dice them up into a small dice. Then I'm going to take some green onions. I'm going to take about 2 or 3 green onions. And that's going to give us that little bit of bite, okay? I could use shallots. If I had shallots, I could use chives even. Just sort of looking for a little bit of that onion flavor. And use the white, the light green, and the dark. I don't know, people always say don't use the dark green. Same with leeks. I love that flavor. I think it's beautiful, and it adds a really, really nice color to it as well, okay? So I'm going to add a little bit of, I'm using 2, a light green onion, 2 green onions. I'm going to use some fresh dill. Now, if you didn't have fresh and you wanted to use dried, you could, but you know, fresh herbs really, really bump up the flavor without having to add a lot of perhaps sometimes, you know, salt or fat content. Herbs really, really sort of bump up the flavor. So again, just some fresh dill. You could use coriander in this as well. What else could you use? Parsley, if you wanted to use a little bit of parsley as well, whether it be Italian or curly. But I like the combination of dill and smoked salmon. Then I am going to take my lemon. I'm going to squeeze a little bit of lemon into this combination, and that's really going to bring out the brightness, nice flavor. I'm going to take my grater and I'm going to grate some lemon peel. Really simple. Now I suppose you could use lime as well if you wanted to, but lemon again really is going to give us that brightness that we wanted. Scrape my peel in there. I'm going to hit it with a little bit of pepper and a little bit of kosher or sea salt. And we're going to stir all of that together. Now, I could do this 24 hours in advance, cover it and set it in the fridge. The lemon juice would continue to cook that salmon a little bit more, so it's going to be paler in color the next day, but nothing, a little bit more juice, but nothing, you know, dramatic-wise. It's already cooked, but the lemon juice will, the acid in that will continue to cook it a little bit more, but again, not necessary, but I could do it 24 hours in advance. Okay, I'm going to set that aside, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some of the garnishes, getting the garnishes together. I'm going to take cucumber, and I'm going to use my mandolin. And remember I told you that what I love about my mandolin is that it slices things really fine and delicately and thin. I could use my chef knife, but this is a lot faster and very even as well. Now I've got a good steady hand on my knife, but there's no way I can get as uniform cut as this, okay? So, done, simple, and easy to do, all right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit of my dressing together, and then we're going to plate it all together and it'll be done. going to take my squeeze bottle and I'm going to make my dressing right in my squeeze bottle. I really like these a lot because they can go into the fridge, they can sit on the counter depending upon what's in them, and it gives me a very accurate pour for presentation. And it's a great thing to be able to just shake up my dressings as well. So in this, I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. And I like olive oil versus vegetable oil in something like this. I just like the flavor better. I'm going to take my lemon, and I am going to use a citrus squeezer because I'm going to have to pour it into this container. And I'm going to take about a tablespoon of lemon juice. And it's all to taste, okay? A little bit of salt. Dijon mustard. Get that in there. Okay. Plop. And I'm going to give it a good shake. And that's my dressing. I'm going to add a little bit of pepper at the end and some capers, but again, that's going to be presentation. So let's put it together. So I've made my smoked salmon mixture, I've made my dressing, and both of these could go into the fridge overnight and wait until my company comes. But I can even go one step farther if I want to get ahead of the game. I take my serving plates, take my stacking ring, and I'm going to show you how to plate this up. So I'm going to take some of my smoked salmon and I'm going to put it in this ring. Make sure that you've got your ring exactly where you want it, in the center of your plate. Okay, and I'm going to just press it down a little bit. And you're going to see the final result when I take the ring off. I haven't sprayed the ring with anything, you know, as far as nonstick spray or anything like that. I don't need to. I'm going to take my perfectly sized cucumbers. And I could use radishes, I could use avocado. Obviously I wouldn't be slicing the avocado, but I could do rings of avocado on the inside. Then I'm going to take a little bit more of my smoked salmon, and the color is really beautiful, especially coming into spring. So you've got that vibrant sort of orangey pink of the salmon, brilliant green of the green onions and the dill. Okay. Then I'm going to take one more layer of my one more layer of my cucumbers on the top. 3, love uneven numbers, okay? And I'm literally going to pull my ring right off, and it comes off as easy as that. And if I've done a good job on packing it in, it all stays together. May have to do a little bit of packing. I don't know if you can see. Can I get that a little bit closer? Just to sort of see what that looks like, okay? How easy that came out. Now what I could do is I could have left the ring on, and if I had enough of them, just keep stacking them on top, cover it all in plastic wrap, and then put it in my fridge 24 hours ahead, okay? So we've got our rings together. Now what I want to do is I want to add a little bit of my dressing, okay? And this is where you can get a little bit fancy. I can pour it all the way around the outside so it doesn't actually sit on my salad, okay? So it doesn't get very soggy. Or I could have just poured it over top if I was going to serve it right away. I'm going to take some capers, because that caper, lemon, dill, smoked salmon, great combination. All right, put those around. I could put my capers in my dressing, but the whole of my dollar store find little squeeze bottle won't let them sit through. And plus, you know, it's a little bit nicer, you can place them around. Maybe a little bit of sprig of dill for the top. And that is a beautiful salad. And then when I wanted to plate it, I could put some fresh bread with it as well. Okay. 3, again, an odd number. And if I wanted to, I could add just a little bit of dressing over top of that bread as well. So there we go. We have smoked salmon tartare with a caper mustard lemon sauce. Beautiful, simple, easy to do, great for a lunch, for an appetizer, and fantastic for entertaining because you can do it ahead. And it's using some of my favorite tools in my kitchen. So I hope you like this recipe, smoked salmon tartare. Stay tuned next week where I don't know what the mood's going to strike me, but we'll find something interesting to do to get together in the kitchen. Talk to you later.